Welcome to Hear This, a new podcast based out of Iowa City, Iowa. This podcast is all about real estate from an uncut view. My name's Emily Farber. I'm a realtor here in Iowa City, and this is Adam Pretorius.
Really excited to do this today. We've been talking about it for a long time, actually. I think I approached you back in the early fall about wanting to do this.
You did, and I told you no like 3 times.
Yeah, it took 3 times, but I knew it would take you a little bit. And I think this is going to be really fun and exciting, and especially for our first topic today, because we're very different, although we have some similarities, but that'll make this kind of a fun show. So you want to introduce our topic for the day?
Yes, we are talking about introverts and extroverts and how that relates to a realtor's success in the business.
And talking to people just in general. And can you even guess which one's which? Pretty clear, the introvert on the left here and me being the extrovert. But, well, I guess that's a different camera view. I guess it'd be right for the audience and left. But anyways.
Whatever. So, it doesn't matter.
It turns out, actually, Emily approached me about getting into real estate before you got your license. And I thought, I don't know if an introvert would be that successful in real estate. But it turns out you actually have a lot of really good traits that hone in, and a lot of introverts just really succeed at real estate. So let's start with you and some of those things. What behavioral things make you tick?
Okay, so when I was thinking about getting into real estate, I wanted to interview a couple different agents, and you were one of them that I wanted to interview. You had actually acted as our agent on the sale of a house. And when we hired you to sell our house, the reason we picked you, have I told you the actual reason?
Yes, go on. I'm sure the viewership will love us. You just love saying what you're going to say, but go on.
We interviewed a couple different agents, and we decided to hire you, Adam, because we felt that you had just enough in you to get the job done well.
I knew you were going to say.
And I mean that in the nicest possible way, because I consider you to be a very good friend now.
Sure.
But you want a real estate agent who is going to be assertive enough to get the job done.
And assertive is exactly an extrovert trait.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about some of your traits and like what makes you as an introvert so good at the careful process everything before you react to it or respond to it versus, an extrovert that's quick to make decisions, quick to make moves.
Yes, you may be very quick moving in your thought process and how you're going to approach life. I think that I am a lot more analytical and just carefully thought out tasks before I make a move forward. So having that analytical, perfectionistic side to your personality, I know it doesn't sound sexy, but in real estate, so much of the live or die of it is in the detail.
Yeah.
So you need to be on top of those details.
But I think one of the big myths with an introvert is that you're antisocial. And though I know like you don't like go looking or welcoming to go in large crowds of people, where like as an extrovert, like my energy is spurred from like going into crowds of people. Like that's what I love. Actually, in some ways it kind of calms me down. That's probably more ADHD than extrovert. But for you, you're not, that's the myth. You're not antisocial.
Most of the time.
Well, but you're not truly antisocial. You still go out and talk to people. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be successful in this business if you didn't go talk to people and engage with people.
Yes.
You just have a tolerance threshold.
My tolerance threshold is shorter than yours. I am fine talking to people. I will go out and talk to people. I have learned how to almost I would say split my personality. I have the actual introverted, shy part of me, which is probably my core person. And then I've developed this alter ego that is able to go out and navigate the world that I'm in more effectively. And I can do it until I can't do it anymore. And then I'm like, oh my God, I need to go home. I can't be here anymore. I'll start kicking somebody under the table and like giving them the eye like, save me now. So,
but I think that's a big difference between the introvert and extrovert is how we get energy and how we focus that energy. For me, if I might have more cups of coffee because it actually gives me more focus, the caffeine, or I like loud music to kind of keep my energy and focus, or I'll go to large crowds and people for that kind of focus. Whereas I think for you, your focus comes from some of those opposite things.
Yes. I mean, I will listen to music in the morning. I do listen to upbeat music when I'm trying to jazz myself up or something. I am not a caffeine addict. I don't drink coffee or pop or anything in the morning. I'm just straight up, this is me. I'm up at 5 a.m. because that's when I'm up. But when I need to decompress, I'm not going to a crowd. I'm going to my room to lay down in my bed under my blankets by myself.
And that's interesting because, and I have to bring this up, but you and I are both married to the opposites.
Right.
My wife is actually an introvert. She will always Irish exit at a party. Like she'll just disappear like after a little bit and most people don't realize that about her because she is very glowing and outgoing, but she doesn't like a lot of people in a gathering. And she has just a tolerance that's like, oh, my candle burned out. I'm ready to go. And she'll just Irish exit. And you are married to an extrovert.
Right. So opposites attract, I guess. Sometimes I wonder if I married my husband, David, because he could have the job of doing all the talking and I could just sit back and observe. He tells me all the time, he'll be like, Emily, you're staring at people. So I think I spend a lot of time in social situations watching other people. Processing. Yeah. Sometimes he tells me.
We call that judging.
He tells me that I'm looking wolfy, like I'm like staring people down and I'll be like, oh, sorry. You know, like I have to stop. But sometimes when I am in a large social situation, I almost feel like detached from my body. Like I'm trying to figure out the spider web of interconnections that I feel like is so natural to somebody like you and so foreign. It's like me trying to decipher a foreign language.
Well, I think, you know, there's pluses and minuses to both. In fact, I did some research and I pulled up some traits here, and so we should go through some of these. And I think they're kind of fun. So, you know, some of the pros to being an introvert include, I mean, and this helps you in your strengthening your relationships, include your thoughtfulness. Like introverts are much more analytical. Like you said, you're processing situations and stuff. Another one that they wrote about was you have a strong observational skills. You tend to do a lot more observations of other human behaviors, which you talked about you do in parties, which I think you're coming off judgy, but that's fine. I mean,
I'm not judging. I'm just watching.
So you're also less impulsive. Like for me, like Costco is the worst place I can be, right? Like Costco is completely like a horrible thing for an extrovert because it's like, oh, impulse buy.
Well, that's dangerous at Costco because you're not getting out of there for a minimum of $100.
Well, you got to stay on focus. But yes, I mean, it's a dangerous place for an extrovert. But you know, there are also some potential disadvantages in you being an introvert, and those include just like that social awkwardness that your husband noted. That you're like almost looks like you're. I think you're like looks like you're judging people, but like you're analyzing and processing things.
Am I judging you?
Possibly, probably, because you mostly always do. You have difficulty in managing emotions, whether that's like actually just in the way that like you express them or they come across. But you know, whereas I'm like very direct, like I'll just come out and say it as it is, right? Like there's no shame. I don't feel any embarrassment. But you might have like a harder time making friends or networking in that. Although in real estate, I feel like you've been able to overcome that, and you just create systems to do that, right?
Well, I feel like I have created a real estate business with a lead generation technique that attracts my ideal clientele to me. So my need to go create leads to drive my business forward, I'm not talking to strangers. What I have done is I've created a system where I put videos out there and people watch them, and if they find value in them and they want to continue the conversation, then they call me. So it's like I've already introduced myself to them. That awkward initial stage, it's done. I did it already on video that was edited that I could control.
Right, because everyone's just looking for shared values. So they're looking in and they still enjoy you as a person. People do business with people they like. And the second rule is people still do business with people they like. I mean, that's the golden rule here. And so you're just doing these videos because it's a way for you to get out there without having to go to a large crowd of people like an extrovert like me might do.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about extroverts. I mean, this is fun. Like I like getting roasted, especially when you're around. So another big trait is it's really hard to like control excitement and those emotions. And that comes to like, if something big happens, like I immediately got to call or text someone and tell them, like, I just like the excitement is there. Like, it's hard to keep it contained. Another one is, I love to collaborate, as you know, and extroverts love to work in groups. They do. They'd rather work in a group than work independently. And
it's oftentimes my worst nightmare is having to work in a group because
it's probably why I had to ask you 3 times to actually do this. You're like, no, I do videos just fine. I don't want to do it with you.
Because I often find myself being frustrated with the effort or the production that other people are contributing to the group. So, I mean, not only am I introverted, I also have a fairly high perfectionistic drive. And so my standards are very high. And there's not a lot of people out there that can live up to them.
Right.
You can.
Right. Well, but also I feed and work well off others because I take that energy and that energy gives me energy. And you have a boiling point where you're like, I'm done.
So let's talk about energy for a second, because this, I think, is the secret sauce to a successful real estate agent. The most successful agents that I have laid eyes on and watched work seem to have some sort of internal energy, a spark in them, a charisma that attracts others to them. And it's not the exclusive territory of just an extrovert. Introverts can have it too.
Sure.
And I think that's part of why we get along so well together, is that we both see that energy in each other and we play off of it. Would you agree?
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, for that matter, I mean, both our spouses are the complete opposite of us too. And I think there is a little bit of energy that you can, little give and pull, right?
This is where he tells me I'm lame and I don't have any energy.
Not at all. But I mean, I think for you, like, I mean, I'm good at talking with strangers. That's another asset of extroverts. You probably don't want that at all, but you still talk to people. You're not antisocial. That goes back to that myth. You just don't like actively seek constant interaction and conversation unless it's someone you know and you're comfortable with.
I curate who I want to talk to. If I want to talk to you,
I should feel like
I'll talk to you.
Honored.
Yeah, if I want to talk to you, I'll talk to you. If I don't, we're not talking. It's fine.
Well, let's talk about one of the last assets that comes with being an extrovert, and that is one of the things we do in a hobby is we like to be in clubs or volunteer because there's more people. We like doing things that are active. What is your feeling about that? Do you like doing volunteer work, being in clubs, running, committees?
The short answer is no. The long answer is I am involved in some committees and some activities
with me.
Yes, yeah. I am involved because I recognize the importance of it. But if I have free time and I'm just doing what I want to do, I'm probably just dinking around by myself with my family, with my chickens, with nobody at all, walking through the woods, reading a book.
You are kind of more the quiet person on the committee because I'm in a committee with you.
Yeah. Yeah, but I still have good ideas.
There's no.
I say them when I want to.
Right, you more listen, you take it in, and you.
And then I drop a bomb.
Analyze, and then you just drop the bomb right there.
Yeah.
So, well, let's go into some of the disadvantages then that come with like being an extrovert because there's quite a bit. So, we tend to have fewer close relationships, but a larger group of friends. Like. In fact, I met someone the other day and they said, Adam, you got a really weird group of friends because I have a large group of friends. Like
that was me.
A lot of different
I said that to you.
That was you?
That was me.
Of course it was. Yeah. You're too catty. But I mean, I think that's one of the disadvantages of extroverts is we have so many relationships that it's not like honed in and defined.
I told you that you had a very interesting collection of friends.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Okay.
We'll take that as a compliment. We're obviously, since we don't do as much analyzing and soaking it in and looking at like that awkward person in situations, we're not as good of listeners.
Are you telling me I'm awkward?
You can be in a social situation where you're just sitting there staring at people, trying to soak in the social situation. But you know, that lack of impulse also makes you a better listener.
Do you ever feel disconnected? Do you feel like you know everybody in the world, but nobody really at all?
I haven't paused to take time to think about it, I guess. But no, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I guess if our relationships are less personable, then yeah, I guess potentially that would be a trait of an extrovert. I mean, a disadvantage at least. But I think the other disadvantage, a big one that comes with extroverts, is since we are more aggressive decision making out there, I think people can find it a little aggressive.
A little abrasive.
Yeah, abrasive is a good word for it.
I think.
But that's why you hired me to sell your house when you were interviewing all those other agents.
True.
Because you knew I was to be a go-getter to go get it done. Versus somebody that hires you probably hires you for all those skills of I'm going to take time to really analyze it. Careful, calculated, listen.
Well, I'll have you know that in some of my reviews, some of my past clients have even called me a bulldog. Like, when I know I'm right, I'm right. I'm going for it. So this may be something that I have developed more over time, is the ability to be aggressive when I need to be aggressive.
So call Emily Farber the bulldog, or call Adam Pretorius.
There you go.
Well, I think it's also important though that we end this knowing that we always try to like define ourselves as either an introvert or an extrovert, like throw one bucket or the other. But it turns out a vast majority of people are somewhere in the middle, right?
No.
Like you're really not one or the other. You're a little bit of this or a little bit of that.
It's a scale.
Yeah. And there's, it's a little bit back and forth, but you're not like an extreme version of it. Maybe I'm an extreme version of an extrovert, but
I really think it's a scale, and you're probably going to move on that scale at different points in your life as you develop different skills. And at the end of the day, you attract the people to you that want to work with you.
Yeah, it's all about shared values. It's about getting out there, and your values and my values are similar, but we're a little bit different personalities. And so there's people that are perfect for me, and there's people that are perfect for you. And finding that those right clients is important to how you amplify your message to get out there.
I think that's part of the reason why we collaborate as often as we do, because we appreciate each other's strengths. But I am not afraid of you stealing my clients, and I don't think you're afraid of me trying to steal yours.
No, not at all. And again, it's a collaborative atmosphere. So, well, this was so much fun.
Thanks, Adam.
So here it is. You heard it on Hear This. We'll enjoy seeing you next time.